Hey, you guys, welcome to day 13 of Hot Topics and Cool Drinks. This event is created exclusively for adults 50 and over, especially for those of us who are corporate executives, past or present, entrepreneurs, educators, and family stewards, parts of households that have invested in private education, people who understand that values, not trends, is what guides families. Each evening, we gather here to center ourselves in clarity and conversation, and every night includes a featured book that aligns with purpose, legacy, and awareness, a wellness tip for women navigating menopause, a discussion about parenting in today's digital world where online cruelty, misinformation, and influence culture challenges everything that we've built. Now, before we dive in, here's what we're going to be covering tonight. We have a hot topic about how to guide our children into healthier real world engagement and why online spaces must be reframed as business tools, not entertainment. Business Corner, why protecting your brand and reputation is the foundation of long term wealth, and how careful due diligence safeguards your assets and legacy. Then, of course, we have Menopause Minute, strength, bone, health, and vitality for women over 50, and a featured book, which is The First Great Triumph, How 5 Americans Made This Country a World Power by Warren Zimmerman. We also, of course, we're always going to have poetry by me, 2 grounding poems from She Shines Anyway, one open our night and one to close with intention. Okay, now before we start with tonight's poem, let's start with my cool drink of the evening. Now, this drink tonight is from Fever Tree, and it's sparkling Sicilian lemonade. Okay, and what I love about this is that number one, it's only 35 calories, but for the most part, it's all natural. I mean, there's some other things in there, but I think the main thing, oh, and excuse me, this one is 40 calories. This one is 40 calories, but it's a great little drink for 40 calories. And that's all I'm going to say. It's not all natural. This one's not organic. It's tasty. It's definitely has some zip to it. All right. Anyway, so let's go ahead and have a toast to tonight. It's Friday night. It's good. I give this, I give it a 7.5. It's good. So let's go into tonight's poem. So as you guys know, I wrote this book, She Shines Anyway, 76 poems for the woman who refuses to dim her light. And one of the things I always mention is that I was able to edit this book in less than an hour using AI, which was a tremendous deal because usually that is something that would take anywhere from 4 weeks to a little over a month to get done. Okay, and I was able to do it in under an hour. That's a huge deal. All right, so the poem that I'm reading tonight is called Detox from People Too. And it starts off, you cleanse your skin, you juice your greens, you watch your sugar and skip the caffeine. But what about her? The one who drains your chest with every call, the one who leaves your spirit heavier than your hands can carry. You can't heal in that same energy that made you sick. No smoothie will fix what a soul sucker keeps undoing. So yes, drink your water. Yes, light your sage. But remember, some toxins come dressed as friend. Detox from people too. Your peace deserves it. Okay. Do you like that one? You know, these poems are for, like I said, the woman who refuses to dim her light. So if you need a pick-me-up, that's what these poems are for. Okay, or just that reminder of who you really are. All right. So let's go ahead into tonight's hot topic. First, I'm going to take another sip of my drink, though. So, hot topic of the night. So for the past 12 days, we've been talking about cyberbullying and the nationwide mental health crisis affecting our teens. So tonight we're going to shift the lens a bit, and instead of focusing on the damage, we're going to highlight some solutions, specifically how parents can redirect their children into healthier, more enriching, real-world engagement. So it's imperative to remember that there are countless things that we can involve our kids in besides being glued to online spaces. There's museums, nature walks, sports, train rides, family road trips, and even volunteering in the community. These are the experiences that build character, resilience, and social skills. We also need to acknowledge that the tech reality like Meta, Apple, and even Elon Musk are pushing new innovations like smart glasses. So for Musk, his blind sight glasses aim to restore vision for the blind. Now, while these technologies are groundbreaking, they also serve as a reminder that yes, as executives, it's wise to invest in companies like these for our financial legacies, but as parents, we must make sure that our kids understand that investment does not equal lifestyle surrender. Just because we invest in major companies does not mean that we allow them to take over our lives. And that's why it's critical to teach our children from the very beginning that online platforms are business tools, not entertainment escapes, helping them understand that there are cyber footprints that will follow them forever and is just as important as making sure that they eat well and study hard. And if we can shift their mindset early on, we set them up for a future where technology serves them and not the other way around. Now, this is not just a call of action. Think of it like when President Trump said, "Let's make America great again." And at its heart, that statement was about returning to fundamentals, being the real influencers, the innovators, the business tycoons, the parents and leaders our children deserve to model themselves after. Not false images generated by AI applications, not digital illusions, real people, real leadership, and real legacy. Okay? So that's my thought on that topic. And let's go ahead and shift over to Business Corner for the night. I'm going to have a little sip of my drink. So, for executives, wealth is more than numbers on a balance sheet. True wealth rests on reputation, integrity, and brand protection. The moment your name is tied to a scandal, fraud, or questionable partnerships, the value of everything you've built can erode overnight. That's why protecting your brand and assets is not just smart, it's a non-negotiable. The clients you accept, the executives you hire, and the partners you align yourself with. Every single one of these decisions reflect back on your brand. One careless association can unravel decades of credibility. And this is where due diligence becomes the executive's sharpest tool. Before signing contracts, before shaking hands, before lending your credibility to anyone, investigate. Ask the hard questions. What is their reputation? What does their history show? Are they aligned with your values and your vision, or are they a risk to everything that you've ever built? Executives often underestimate how fast a reputation can collapse. In today's climate, social media, shareholder blogs, employee review platforms, they can expose weaknesses instantly. And that's why the stakes are higher than ever. A single misstep can cost millions, not just in revenue, but also in an investor confidence. So, think beyond contracts, protect your intellectual property and your family name. Be vigilant about digital reputations. Even a business partner hidden controversies can damage your credibility. Review supply chains. Globalization has created massive opportunities, but one unethical supplier can take down an entire enterprise. Recognize legacy risk. It's not just about today's bottom line. Every deal either strengthens or weakens the bridge you are building for your children and your grandchildren. And yes, AI can support this process. Modern AI tools can analyze massive amounts of data quickly, scanning public records, digital footprints, and even patterns of behavior that would take a human team months to compile. But AI is only an assistant, not a replacement. The responsibility still lies with us to say no when something doesn't smell right, even if it looks profitable on paper. Remember, your brand is your fortress. Protecting it means protecting your family's future, your shareholders' trust, and your legacy's endurance. Integrity is profit, reputation is capital, and diligence is wealth protection at its highest form. Okay? So let's have a little sip before we shift. That is delicious. And again, it is still a 7.5, but it's delicious. It has that little bite to it. So, guys, I'm going to need you to plug your ears for a minute because I am going to go ahead to Menopause Minute. And as I always say, ladies, menopause can start anywhere from 35 to 55, and sometimes it starts sooner and sometimes later. And as you guys know, I am going through it, so I want to share some tips. Tonight, we're going to talk about bone health and strength after 50. So, as women, the risk of osteoporosis and fractures increase dramatically after menopause. But we are not powerless. In fact, this is a season where small intentional choices make the biggest impact. So there's strength training. Just 2 to 3 sessions a week with light weights, kettlebells, or resistance bands can help keep bones strong and maintain lean muscle. Daily movement like walking, hiking, stair climbing, yoga, and even dancing all supports joint flexibility and bone density. Then we have nutrition. Focus on calcium, rich foods like leafy greens, beans, fortified milks with vitamin D through sunlight and supplementation. Both are essential for bone repair. Balance and posture. Practice things like Tai Chi and Pilates, strengthen the core and reduce the risk of falls. Recovery and sleep. Bones repair during deep rest. Prioritize sleep. Isn't just about energy, it's about structure and long-term vitality. Menopause is not the end of strength, it's the invitation to build resistance for decades to come. Just like in a business, when your foundation is strong, your reach can expand without fear or collapse. So tonight's featured book is called The First Great Triumph: How 5 Americans Made Their Country a World Power by Warren Zimmerman. So let me share a little bit about Warren Zimmerman with you guys. So Warren Zimmerman was a distinguished American diplomat, a writer, and a scholar. He served as the final U.S. ambassador to Yugoslavia during the violent dissolution in the early 1990s, giving him an unflinching perspective on the consequences of power, nationalism, and fractured leadership. His long diplomatic career, paired with his academic work at Columbia University, positioned him to write with both historical rigor and lived experience. Zimmerman understood both the promise and the perils of America's role on the global stage. Now, this book, The First Great Triumph, tells the story of America's transformation from a young republic into a commanding global power at the dawn of the 20th century. Zimmerman frames this rise through the lives and decisions of 5 influential figures. First, we have Theodore Roosevelt, whose energy and strategic vision turned the U.S. Navy into a global force. Then you have Henry Lodge, the senator and intellectual who pushed for expansion and shaped foreign policy. You have John Hay, the statesman and diplomat who crafted the open door policy to China, extending U.S. influence abroad. Then you have Alfred Mahan, the naval historian whose ideas about sea power changed military doctrine worldwide. And then you have Ehud Root, the legal genius who organized the U.S. Army and built institutional structures that sustained long-term power. Zimmerman shows how these men had distinct skills, but a shared vision. Crafted the blueprint of America's global strategy. He explores their ambitions, their rivalries, and their ethical dilemmas in partisanship. What makes this book powerful is not that the narrative of expansion, but the insight into leadership and how vision, networks, and strategy conveyed to alter history. Zimmerman's position is elegant, his analysis sharp, and his conclusions timeless. For today's executives, the lessons are clear. Leadership is legacy. Just as these 5 men turned America into a power that influences the world. The decisions you make today in boardrooms, in partnerships, and in investments will define your legacy tomorrow. Zimmerman reminds us that triumph always carries responsibility. Expansion without foresight can lead to collapse, but vision paired with integrity can reshape the world for generations. Okay? So that's the book for tonight. And so tonight, three truths come together. Technology is advancing, but we must guide it. How it integrates with our families and businesses. Reputation and brand integrity are true currencies of executives. Protect them fearlessly. And history shows us that leadership is not about titles, but about shaping the world's direction through courage, clarity, and conviction. That is our triumph to claim. So let me go ahead and close. I'm going to close, guys. Let me have a little sip before I do that. And like always, I'm going to go ahead and end with a poem. This poem is "The Body Remembers Who You Let In." Your mind might forget, but your body doesn't. It holds the tone of their voice, the way they made you second guess, which you knew was true. You think you're over it, but your breath still shortens. The room feels familiar. Your shoulders still rise when someone uses that same tone. Energy leaves footprints. Touch leaves echoes. Even silence leaves scars. So be selective with access. Every interest is a memory, and your body keeps the file. Okay? So, yes. Something to think about, right? If you like these poems that I read from my book, She Shines Anyway, 76 Poems for the Woman Who Refuses to Dim Her Light, you know you can find this book on Amazon.com and BeWellnessCenter.shop. Okay? So you guys, we're at the end. Okay, and so thank you for joining day 13 of Hot Topics and Cool Drinks. Catch up on our blogs at BeWellnessCenter.shop. You can always go there daily for the daily blog, BeWellnessCenter.shop, and listen to Wednesday's podcast, What We've Been Waiting For, unedited. And the title of this past week's episode is called Strategies for Wednesday, from Presidential Election Legacies to Market Lessons. Subscribe on YouTube tonight, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button, guys, at Wolf Vibrations for this series that's running until August 31st. And remember, legacy isn't about trends, it's about truth. I'll be back tomorrow, same place, same time. See you then. Mwah. Thanks for joining.